it's as if I have no control over myself, as if I have to answer to them because they enjoy my music. And it's
Mm,
like, no, the transaction is I make this music, you guys like it, you want more of my music. There's nowhere in my music where it was agreed upon that I was your Selassie. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Like
Microphone check, 1 2. What is this? It's the 5'7" assassin in the podcast business. I am your host, Rohan Patra, the rap music plug at your service. Here we are again at the end of the rainbow. Few artists embody the full spectrum of rap quite like today's guest on the show, Ghais Guevara. Through Breakout Records and Black Bolshevik and There Will Be No Super Slave, Ghais has made a name for himself with fiercely political lyricism and a bold left field sound. But on his latest album, Goyard Ibn Said, Ghais expands his scope, incorporating sounds of trap music and drill, pop, flexing his songwriting muscles that leads to legitimate hits as a result, while staying true to his political worldview and creative expression, showcasing the dichotomy of tragedy and triumph, the rise and then the fall. In today's episode, Ghais speaks on how he and other politically minded rappers are perceived and treated by rap fans, what inspired the musical direction for this latest album, Goyard Ibn Said, and expands on the commentary related to the pitfalls of the entertainment industry explored within the album, and much, much more. Ghais is a rising star in the making, so you absolutely do not want to miss this. The Rap Music Plug podcast presented by QLC TV is the remedy to the I don't have anything good to listen to problem. Through in-depth artist interviews, album reviews, and general rap commentary on the best that the underground rap scene has to offer, this is your one-stop shop to knowing what to add to your queue, play next, or pop into your record player. Welcome to the show.
Ghais Guevara, how you doing today?
chilling, feeling, you know, accomplished.
Yeah, you were saying before we hit record that like ever since the album dropped, it's been a few weeks now. Just feels kind of like pales in comparison to pre. I guess the anticipation is now
Yeah,
done and it's just kind of back to normal.
it's like after the fireworks on New Year's, it's like, what do we do? You ready to go home? What's next?
Mm.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, but it'll turn back up soon. I know it will.
Yeah, and like, this is your second time on the show. I think the other time you came on was October or fall of 2022. And man, a
Damn.
lot has changed. A lot has changed since that conversation. So like
Yesterday.
starting, yeah. And like let's start with the fat possum of it all. Like how has it felt for you to get this deal, this signing with Fat Possum, and how has that impacted your creative process for this latest record?
Um, well, first of all, I was surprised because they weren't, I guess they still aren't. I guess they're working into it like a big rap label. Like I looked them up and I'm like, who are these people? They had LP at the time.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's still on or whatever, but so that was already kind of like a head scratcher to me. But um, you know, they I I had a lawyer, you know what I mean, and we've had enough meetings, and they were just like nice enough people. So it was just, let's see where I didn't know what to do next with a freaking rap career. So like, you know what I mean, let's see what we can do with these guys, and they definitely have like become a huge help in terms of not just getting resources, but just like defining things and telling me what means what and why and how and stuff like that. So it's been pretty kind of refreshing, honestly. I don't feel like I got everything on my shoulders now, so can focus more on the music.
Yeah, even like with the like distribution of like merch and stuff. Like I know I remember 'cause I follow you on Bandcamp. I know with like the Super Slave vinyl, I know like how many times like you had to like and I know you care and it sounded like you care, like things get delayed because fucking COVID, the supply chain was so messed up. Like having to ship all those yourselves kind of sounds like a nightmare to be honest.
Yeah, and then payments aren't paid, so
Mm,
stuff that you was gonna use to ship out, it's now like, oh, it's out of my own pocket now. Like, you know what I mean? So
hmm.
it's chaotic. So just have somebody not outright take the problem off your hands, but just give you, hey, here's how you can fix this. You know what I mean? It's like, thanks.
Yeah. And so like how has the reception been for you? It's been a few weeks. How have you felt? Positively, negative? Have you been surprised by anything so far?
I can't necessarily say I've been surprised. I think I tweeted this before. Like, I kind of think about everything what everyone's gonna say about the album before it even comes out. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I talk to people that I think fit certain archetypes or demographics or holds the opinions of that demographic well, get their idea how they engage with it. You know what I mean? Um, so a lot of it has just been like, whatever. I knew you were gonna say that. Whatever. I knew they would say that. But the amount of people that like absolutely love it still surprises me. For
Dope.
sure. Because you nobody has to love your shit. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, it's been cool seeing the reception too, and I think I have a bit of I want to get into a topic that's I've been wanting your perspective on. It's pretty wide ranging, so I guess like bear with me for a sec. I'm gonna try to, frame it accordingly. But you tweeted something out a month ago that I found kind of funny, but also it was, I think, telling in a sense to like an overall sentiment I've noticed with how you approach your career and like the industry, rap fans. And it was like you said that now it was like in reference to the fact that this new album's about to drop. This was prior, maybe like a week or two before. And you're saying with that new album out, you don't need to perform your older albums anymore. And it had like a handcuffs broken image. And like obviously I know you're being tongue in cheek, but given that those albums were more like overtly political, I guess you can say, and overtly more like experimental, more underground musical aesthetics in comparison to this latest record, I can't help but feel this relates to this overarching sentiment, which is that like I feel like you sometimes take issue with how you and other rappers who touch on like political subjects in their music are perceived and treated by rap fans, particularly white rap fans and leftist fans. And so I want to explore this dynamic with you a bit more because I think it's really fascinating and I think it's important since like personally I feel like there's like this weird standard that's placed upon artists like yourself and others. It's not just you. But artists like yourself and this expectation that you need to be like fighting for something or t holding some burden of like political change when you are just an artist, like you are just creating music, doing what you love. So those are just my initial thoughts. So could you talk a bit more about this dynamic between rap fans and quote unquote politically focused rappers and elaborate on, what you take issue with or what you feel you wish was different?
Yeah. Um, I'm never, ever really surprised by the idea of deification of some humanistic figure, especially from a people, a person, or whatever that is lacking in something, resources, impoverished, mental illness, da 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 da. Like, you know what I mean? Because everyone's gonna need a thing, something to look forward to, some figure, some hopeful. So like I understand it, but at the end of the day, it's like this group of people love to claim they're so above it. You know what I mean? Like they don't worship and like they don't idolize and like they don't have these dogmatic, approaches where, there's nuances to certain situations in which it's not gonna go your way. You know what I mean? So it's just first of all, it's condescending as hell because it's it's as if I have no control over myself, as if I have to answer to them because they enjoy my music. And it's
Mm,
like, no, the transaction is I make this music, you guys like it, you want more of my music. You know what I mean? Um,
yeah.
there's nowhere in my music where it was agreed upon that I was, your Selassie. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I don't know where that came from. All it was the mutual agreement that the system is fucked. You know what I mean? it's harder on rappers because it's easier to just see niggas die. You know what I mean? It's easier to think of Pac, it's easier to think of Big and just think of it as just the nature of things. I think for us, it's so easy to be thrusted to that front line, and it's like, well, damn, there's more expectation from us than it is for the people that put themselves up for the job to do it. You know what I mean? So it just it tweaks me out a bit. You know what I mean? But it's the nature of things. People need to worship something. So it's like I get it, you know?
Yeah, and I'm thinking of like some other artists. I'm thinking of like a no name who's spoken about this idea of like a lot of her fans that kind of initially helped her blow up and all that really seem to be fixated on black artists always like needing to or being expected to rap about like death and trauma and like if they're not doing it and they're maybe just like making a goofy song about love or sex or something, it's now like them selling out, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just really strange to me because like I get from the I totally understand. The only thing I will grant that perspective is I get from a listener perspective and maybe your preference being like, I'm really into this like super heavy kind of music, really emotionally charged. Cool. Like if that's your speed, maybe this new record isn't going to be for you. Like if it's a no name in that context, maybe that new song of hers isn't for you. But like the implication that you as the artist are like doing something inherently wrong or like less authentic or less valuable is weird to me.
Yeah. I think it's I use the word mascot a lot. That's usually what it is. It's we're mascots, you know what I mean? And I think you see it even more and more and more and more, you know. It's murals of whoever the hell everywhere, but if you ask, you know, what do you really know about Malcolm? What do you really know about Martin? What do you really know about Pac? You know what I mean? We just know the mascot versions of them. You know what I mean? What they represent. And it's like, I don't know. I don't understand how you can see so much humanization from within my music. You know, you can live so much within my music. You can feel the soul there, but you don't see the human behind it. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, let's use our brains a little more. Um, it's just like, yeah, as soon as you grab the mic, you're suddenly again the nigga in a parrot suit. You know what I mean? It's this guy represent something for somebody. And it's like, you know, I got bills to pay too. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like a pressure to stick to talking about these subjects that maybe people initially linked you to and versus exploring something that's maybe less heavy, just more fun to create?
I used to, and I wouldn't necessarily put that directly on the fans or the industry or anything either, because I did grow up within that. You know what I mean? So it was easy for me to think that that's what I was supposed to be, you know? So it's like, but it's enabled. Like it's definitely enabled, you know, by the
Hmm.
fan. But I used to definitely, but not as much anymore because it's kind of just like I understand the whole thing of a lot of these people that ended up being these quote unquote martyrs. You know what I mean? They were martyrs because they had to be. I just don't have to be, you know? Like
Right.
I don't have to firebomb. I don't have to, you know what I mean? I'm not putting that societal pressure, that financial pressure, thank God. You know, I've worked myself out of that and I should be, you know, proud of that. You know what I mean? So it's just something you ignore now. Like these guys just chatting, you know.
Yeah, like there's definitely like that. What's that? Maybe I'm forgetting the word. What's that word for people, who are really close, like they get a connection with like people they don't know. Do you know that word I'm talking about?
I
Like when
should know
you
that elucid verse. Parasocial.
yes, yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. Thank you, Lucid. Yeah, people like that's a common thing with like in a lot of contexts with celebrities or people that, through social media people come to know. And I think it's in that same vein where like, man, people really have those parasocial relationships with rappers where I feel like they want them to they want to live vicariously through them, where it's like maybe they think they believe whatever they believe, but they don't actually really want to do anything in their own life. But they want the rapper to like fuck the system and like I stand up for what's right and like do all these things that might jeopardize their career, might even jeopardize their like well-being and their, their safety. But they
Yeah,
like but they like expect it of them. It's just, yeah,
that's
I
what
think
I'm
it all
saying.
goes back to
It's
that.
like a disposability aspect of it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like soldiers in war. Like, yeah, we value you, but at the end of the day, we still need you to take that shrapnel hit for us. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to.
Yeah. And approaching this new album, Goyard Ibn Said, a key aspect of it is that it has this, more trap based, sometimes drill based production. And it brings me to actually another Twitter exchange that we had a couple months ago where I was talking about how I just didn't really care for that Bobby, another word. I don't, how do you say his name? I don't
Stop
even
it.
know. Saw
Yeah.
Baby? Yeah. And anyways, you're just going back and forth, not really important about the artist, but you spoke to this cognitive dissonance that lies in rap fans when it comes to, this idea of like trap style music is good, but only when the acceptable N-word does it. And this is something that you stated as a gripe that actually inspired the making of this new record that you made. So, could you elaborate on how this idea played into inspiring the stylistic decisions and direction you took this new album?
Yeah. Admittedly, it started with just the demographic of people that I was drawing in with Super Slave and Black Bolshevik. And expecting, more melanated faces and, just not receiving that and wondering what was the disconnect causing that. And the first thing we like to do, I feel like, is blame the music. And that's like music is music, you know what I mean? If whoever the hell in Moscow can feel it, then my own people can feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like um so I think it has more to do with fan bases, fan interactions, yada yada yada. I don't know, that's a whole different conversation. But as a way to try to prove that I wasn't just for that demographic, you know what I mean? You kind of fall into that trapping of, okay, well, this is what this demographic likes. And then trying to chase that, I just felt foolish. It just felt foolish. It felt like I was falling for a trap. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, falling into these weird confines that who created them, I don't even know. You know what I mean? So I kind of wanted to just make the point of like both A and B, both of these are me. This is rap, you know what I mean? This is hip hop. It's all sides of the same coin type shit. So yeah, that was really the thought process behind it.
Yeah, there's a really like complete balance to this record. And I do see this dynamic play out, online and just in like rap circles where particularly in this like indie rap space, more experimental space, which I definitely would say I'm a part of. I love that kind of music. And um where I feel like trap music is like it's almost talked about like this inherently lesser style of rap, like not as quote unquote intelligent. And I just find it's really condescending the way people talk about it. Like where like they'll see a artist that's maybe more traditionally known for uh like I don't know, more like conventional, traditional, like lyrically,
Yeah.
politically conscious rap. And when they do songs that are more in a trap production, it's more like kind of like a more fun kind of energy. They just assume they're like selling out, and it just always goes back to this like I feel like a lack of like it's a lack of understanding and like grace to like understand these artists are like people and they probably just like this music too. Like even Kendrick, like with his new album, people are like, "Oh, he's trying to make hits." It's like, yeah, maybe, or he's like, he probably just likes this music too. Like
Yeah.
he probably
Yeah.
just likes this kind of music and wanted to make it himself. It doesn't need to be this like big commentary on anything. And I just feel it's very corny.
Yeah. It's corny and it's just um it's just outright wrong. I don't even get how like I don't know, you see the entire pop sphere, hyper pop, all of the white girlies is
Yeah.
jacking this traps drill sound to the T, distorting it. You know what I mean? And it's cool. It's cool. I like seeing the DJs get a hold of it and all of that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind that, but obviously there's something to it. That people aren't feeling this for no damn reason. You know what I mean? People aren't jacking this for no damn reason. And it's like, how dare you consider yourself a guru of this culture and be unwilling to accept the culture? You know what I mean? Like, whether you
Hmm.
like it or not, if you fuck with Andre South got something to say, then you gotta, by extension, give due credit to the trap scene that follows, you know what I mean? What the South laid out. So it's like, it's one of those weird things where it's kind of like strict parents in a way. You know what I mean? Like, once you have that kid, you gotta be willing to know that it's gonna go in a direction you may not like. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta accept that and just hope you nudge it in the right direction. But you don't nudge it in the right direction by outright insulting its intelligence. Like, so I don't understand it, but mm.
Yeah, no, that's definitely well said. And keeping with the production on this record, you fully produced this album other than I think one track, the DJ Haram one, is that correct?
And Monte Ellis,
Oh, Monte Ellis. Yeah.
right, that was a Pretty Flex and Lilith. Shout out them.
Hmm. And yeah, so you fully produced this for the most part. And given the label backing with this record, I know that it was a focus of yours to make the album without samples or minimal samples. So talk to me about the challenge you undertook with that, constraint and how that pushed you as a producer.
It really wasn't a challenge in the sense of like it was hard to do. It wasn't difficult. It just took longer. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, you can't just loop something and then make a hit out of it. This time I would, because I'm not like the chordiest chord keyboard guy. You know what I mean? I could do a basic whatever, and then you just sample that, and then sample the sample of that. You know what I mean? It's the same method. It's just a bit more experimentation. But it was fun because with experimentation, you just learn new ways to do things. So it was something I was grateful for. I think I mentioned before, like restriction just breeds innovation. And I'm finding out more and more that I do thrive well given that challenge, that restriction, because I do have the tendency to just oversee it all and overthink it, and it's too much at my disposal. And now I can't really narrow down what I want. So I think having a mission statement from now on really does help out for sure.
Is there a mission statement that maybe compels you or is like seemingly attractive for like a future record that you want to explore, like a different one?
Um, I definitely know I want to double down on the Act One sound more. See how far I can go with that. What are the, I guess, quote unquote, flaws going around within it? You know what I mean? And what are the holes that could be plugged in by talent or whatever. But that's something in due time. That's not really something I've really figured out yet.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think overall you did a great job with the sound. Like, I really like how there's so much diversity on this record. The upbeat, more upbeat, energetic first half, the pretty solemn and like, heavier, slower, kind of more pensive second half. Like I just really like how the whole ride was put together. And man, there's also just some like just great moments of production. I really like that leprosy beat. That's
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
one's maybe that's such a beautifully pretty beat. Fuck.
Yeah, that's a good one. That was one of the ones I got away with because I was able to chop it to obscurity, like
Mm.
you know what I mean? So that's fun.
And so speaking to that idea that this record split up into the two acts, um, they definitely feature a deliberate difference in tone and like the musical blueprint. And overall, I just feel like there's a degree of depth and intentionality behind your work here on this album. So like, why did you decide to structure the album in such a particular way?
So when I first was making the album, and I knew I wanted to do the two sides thing, a lot of the clips and samples that I was gathering, like that CB4 one, to end the tracks on. They had laugh tracks. And my homie Eladio was like, yo, you should kind of do something with that, make it like a show thing, Truman Show-esque thing, da 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 da. It's like good idea. So I took it and ran with it. And I knew if I was gonna have to do that, it would have to somewhat be a narrative. You know what I mean? Um, and I just couldn't find a way to make it work in reverse to do the sad stuff first and then the happy stuff second. You know what I mean? That just didn't seem like a story. It seems like a plot structure kind of playing with it thing. And it's like nobody wants that. We want a narrative. You know what I mean? A reason why we're listening. Um, so I think having it in tragedy and triumph, capturing people first and foremost with the glitz, with the glamour, and then all of a sudden it's this dark turn. You have no choice but to be like, okay, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Especially if it's been catchy up to the. That was the hard part, was keeping it catchy up into that second act. You know what I mean? Because I had so much to say with Act Two. It was like 7, 8 songs, and I couldn't just have 3, 4 songs for Act One. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that was basically the approach for it.
Yeah, and when I take in this record, like it's striking how much is going on all at the same time. Like the entertainment and fun levels are definitely turned up a notch, but you're still weaving in such like important subject matter as well. Like the balance I think I mentioned earlier is just really apparent. So like speaking to the key messaging on this record, what were some of the major points you wanted to get across to the listener about you or about, anything else, any other larger idea than yourself? With this album.
Um, it was definitely like it became more multi like faceted as I went on to make the album. Um, because of course it started as the mainstream versus underground, and then it became, well, forget it, this is all one thing. And then you're like, okay, this is all one thing. We have to appreciate hip hop as a whole. And then at the same time, hip hop as a whole is going through this thing that is being affected by a lot of the trap and the drill and the exploitation and blackness and so on and so forth. So if I'm begging people to look at hip hop as a whole, it's like, well, I have to look at it as a whole too, as a culture that I was within, and I should speak on, you know, that those triumphs. You know what I mean? And that was something that was kind of alluded. Speak on those tragedies relating to the triumphs. That was something that I kind of alluded to with like the Goyard Coming mixtape with that Pac clip where he's like, you can't talk about all the graces and the joys and not talk about the downs and all of that. And I just felt like we're seeing all of these downs now, you know what I mean, regarding the genre. So it's kind of like perfect timing, damn near. But I was going through a lot of self-reflection at the time because I'm moving out now. I'm moving out of Philly and looking at what home made of me, what part of me, is coming from home and whatnot. So I was able to match that with the album a lot. So
Yeah, the dichotomy was like really, really apparent. And I think the fact that I think it would have hit differently if it was just one of the two, like if it was just kind of the glitz, the triumphs, or if it was just the tragedy and kind of like the downfall or like the negative aspects. It was a lot more powerful that they were kind of like pushed beside each other.
yeah,
It really definitely had more of an impact. And one of the more powerful and like genuinely dark songs on this record is Critical Acclaim. It's genuinely amazing, firstly, just like how you pulled off making something so impactful, so like nuanced. Like I even loved like the noise thing that was at the end of the record. Like it just like I don't know, like added to this heaviness I get from the song.
yeah,
But it's also a song that seems like, unfortunately, I think you kind of touched on it earlier, like very relevant to this current cultural climate where the entertainment industry is just like getting exposed in a level that we've never seen before. There's like this general reckoning of like celebrity culture and, in like a post Diddy world where the predatory underbelly of the industry is exposing itself in broad daylight. And while many of these situations were, things that a lot of us in the know were aware of, seeing these things exposed to such a mainstream level to where like everybody and your grandma knows about it
is just a fascinating thing to witness in terms of like how people are reacting. So I wonder what are some of your takeaways that you've like learned and or observed from these recent events in the industry transpiring? Is there anything that like surprised you or shocked you as it relates to how this has been digested by the society in general?
It's kind of weird because again, it was something like even down to the I'm trying to figure out how to word this in a way where it's not overtly wordy. Like obviously it was something that I witnessed and I had my opinions on because um I I messed with a lot of, revolutionaries. So, like my pop was saying damn Jay-Z before damn
Hmm.
Jay-Z thing, you know what I mean? Because like the revolutionaries were just on that. So I always had my uh withdrawals about it. I don't know, my keep away, you know what I mean? I'm gonna keep an eye on them niggas type thing. Kind of energy about it. So, I mean, I wasn't shocked when a lot of the like allegations and stuff was like dropping. You know what I mean? I don't think any of us was shocked. I think I was more shocked by the fact that the consequences were coming. You know what I mean? Because that was kind of like the overall thing for me was like you can just get away with anything. And that was what was damning to me. It's like, oh, there really is no consequences for these people. Um, and this is another thing where it's like, again, the album was parallel to my own growth and my own self-discovery because as I'm coming into the industry, I'm now also meeting victims. I'm now also meeting girls and women that, you know how underground niggas are. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So the perspective's just open. You know what I mean? You get a lot of time to think about it. You get a lot of time to write about it. You get a lot of time to, see the nature of it, the nature of socialization, the nature of, who you look up to and how you pick up behaviors and things of that sort. So that's what I approached. That's how I saw it more as. It's kind of like, oh, reaping, what you sow type of thing. It's like it's all coming together now. It's not something you get away with. It's something you keep under. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I gotta be brave. We gotta be brave. We gotta be honest. We gotta be truthful. We gotta listen and we gotta say something because there are consequences so long as the people that are willing to give them. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was kind of like the approach of it all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that was kind of my reaction too. Like I'd heard about a lot of these things and, through the grapevine, but it was genuinely shocking to actually like see that there may actually be consequences for once because I the whole time I was just like, okay, well, they're so powerful, they're untouchable. Seeing these titans potentially actually fall was like I think pretty jarring for a lot of people, to be honest. I mean, it's a good thing. It's definitely not a bad thing, but it's been weird seeing, obviously the people that are naturally like very defensive of either, celebrities that they love, like we talked about, but also even just like there is this aspect of like, people like Diddy, for example, where there's like it's like linked and interrelated to these like more racial dynamics thing where people, have their assumptions or ideas of like why is he being attacked now? Like, is this some kind of white supremacist activity occurring? And it's just like it's very
Yeah,
weird to entangle
we're
all of
hearing
these
it with
things.
Cosby.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's exactly the thing. He was buying NBC, right? Like that's the
yeah.
fucking trope. But yeah. And man, I just have to go back to this song. Like I just think the way you like really describe, I don't know, like the intentions or you just describe the actions of these like dishonorable people that you're like I don't know, the way you like psychoanalyze them, maybe that's the right word of it, is just really powerful because it's like you really like dress it down to its like brass tacks of like why they're doing this, like the guilt they have. Like it's just it's
Well,
really good shit, honestly. Just really good writing.
I mean, it's easy when I mean, as just a male, you're in it. You know what I mean? Again, we just have to be brave and vulnerable about it. I'm sure it's not anything that you haven't thought or, any other dude has thought or wondered about. It's just I have to, I guess, literary skills to figure out how to make it digestible. But it's not like a new idea. You know what I mean? So
Hmm. And on the last track of this album, you engage with this idea of like being at odds with the industry in a very thoughtful way, where like obviously you want to make a living making music in said industry, but acknowledging that the natural forces within said industry are inherently oppressive and have kind of been set up that way. So like how have you been able to balance these seemingly competing goals of, progressing in the industry, paying your bills with your art while protecting your integrity and your authentic creative expression as an artist?
you just take it day by day, honestly. Um, I think coming into it, you get kind of cautious and on your toes and stuff and think everybody has an agenda. You know what I mean? And to a degree, that's the case. You know what I mean? You should be on your toes and stuff like that. But also, you don't know everything. So um I had to just figure out, I know what I know and what I don't know, I'm allowed to ask for help. I'm allowed to reach out. I'm allowed to say, yo, I don't know. And, kind of just trust. And I don't know. I look at it like this. It's kind of like my gut only knows as much as what my brain knows. You know what I mean? So if I
Hmm.
know that I don't have a lot of knowledge on whatever I'm nervous about, then I'm probably good. You know what I mean? I probably just need that extra reassurance that A, B, and C told to me for me to understand it. So now it's just learning experiences and just understanding so I could just take that step without those nerves, that anxiety. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good approach. And like going back to that first interview we did a couple years ago, I have to commend you for one thing, which is like for you really did follow through on doing what you said you'd do. Like when I think we were talking about, like future, the next record, which is this one. And you were speaking about like your aspirations to play with the idea of radio hits without compromising on like your creativity, on your message, expanding your reach outside of the niche of fans that you previously were making music for. And I feel like you certainly did it with this new album. Like I feel like there are some seriously insanely killer hooks and impressive moments of songwriting that make a lot of these songs like legitimate hits. So like in your opinion, how did your approach for putting songs together evolve on this album when it comes to like the writing of it and the catchiness of it?
I'll basically just say like and it's weird. It's like this is the album where I learned that I'm truly like a student. I'm a scholar. I'm a dork. I'm a nerd. You know what I mean? I like to sit, study, learn, and understand. Um, you know, so it literally was just that a lot of just under stripping music down to its most basics, even the stuff that I already knew. You tell yourself, this is why this hook is catchy. This is why, this song blew up, down to the marketing and the history of it all, how to dress it up, A, B, and C. And just learning how to apply it to yourself and your skills and your talents. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of like artists. It's a lot of 50, it's a lot of ironically Diddy. It was a lot of, you know what I mean, pop girlies, Destiny's Child. You know what I mean? Just give yourself an adjective, figure out why this music falls under that adjective, and just hammer it in the lab until you can get your own unique version of it. You know what I mean? Um, like a mad tinkering scientist in a way for that. So yeah, that's kind of like how it was.
Yeah, I really think like the nuances in your performance was like particularly noticeable in that it was really well done. Like even like things like in your flow on Monte Ellis. I really like the flow, but there's just like some things I can't even maybe explain in words, but just like the way you kind of weave back in from like verse to chorus is just really fucking catchy to me, particularly like the end where you're almost like you're saying the chorus, but you're kind of laughing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and it's just I don't know, I just find it so fun. It's like gets me so like hyped up and it's just so damn catchy. Like the check behind you, like the whole hook is just so like damn catchy. Like it's always in my head. And I think like this is an area of your game that I feel has really like stepped up several notches. Even from the last album, like, that there was already a lot of that there, but this I just think is like really taken to another level in those details, I guess, going back to like stripping things down to its base elements, like you really did that here.
Yeah. It's really fun because it takes you a lot down memory lane. Um, you're just like remembering why you love that song at 8 years old, you know what I mean? And why somebody 28 years old also loved it. Like, you know what I mean? And it's given me like a new understanding. When people talk about getting on stage and just feeling otherworldly, you're like, shut your crazy ass. But like, it really is otherworldly because I can't explain why this bass line, maybe in theoretical terms, you know what I mean? But I can't really explain why this bass line can be felt from Bulgaria to Ethiopia to America. Like, I don't, I don't know what to tell you. It just is. It's the science, and it's super interesting to fuck around with.
Okay, so like what are some upcoming projects, tour dates, merch, anything like that that you want to shout out?
Um, I don't even know. We got the vinyl. The pre-orders are still up. I think we still got some of the double LP up. I don't know if I think we sold all the limited edition ones. And limited edition Jones is gonna have an autographed poster or whatever. But yeah,
Sick.
get that vinyl. It looks beautiful. Like Max really killed it on that. I got Peckham Audio on the 28th. So if you're a London fan, pop out. We should maybe have a tour running. I just signed with Anniversary
Oh,
booking it.
sick. Nice.
Uh
Congratulations.
Thanks. We're gonna see where that goes. And yeah, um just keep up with me. Yeah.
You think yeah, have you ever been you don't think you've been to Toronto, right?
No, I haven't been to Toronto, no.
You got to make that happen.
Yeah.
Anniversary, hook them
So
up.
just up. Like it's easy. I should just go.
Yeah. No, that'd be amazing. Okay, before we conclude this conversation, we're recording this Feb 9th. It's about just under or just over 3 hours before kickoff, Super Bowl
Go
Sunday.
Birds!
What is your take on how this game will unfold?
Used to pray for times like this, times like this, so I had to. Sorry. Honestly, I think we learned our lesson. And also Chiefs, like, and I'm sure you can even admit this, y'all have been scraping by with some of these wins.
Oh yeah,
Like,
100%. 100%, man. Like
I don't think I heard Jalen Carter is sick. I don't know if he's still playing today. That's gonna be important for
I think he
sure.
was like a full participant after that was announced. Like I think he
Okay.
expects to play. I would highly doubt he doesn't play.
I think we learned our lesson. We got Barkley. Just trust in Barkley and don't make those same defensive mistakes. Like, there's no way you know what I mean? There's no way y'all got better. Like, so that's all I'll say.
I think like definitely in comparison to 2022, I think offensively we're worse, but defensively we're much better. But
Yeah,
also like compared to that, you guys are mu I think another level offensively. You are I think better offensively, but you're not as good of a passing game. I don't think Jalen's just not been as crisp, but like the running game is insane right now. So I'm pretty fucking nervous, I'm not gonna lie, but
it's gonna be an injury ass game too. I think. I think it's gonna be a lot of tweaks and sprains and fighting.
Yeah, the your offensive line is the thing. Like they're all gonna play, but that's the one where I'm like, they're gonna play, but are they like how close are they to 100%? Because that could be deciding like that interior Jurgens and Dickerson. That's
Yeah,
gonna be that's gonna be
especially
big.
he was limping all that John last game.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs have a good chance, but I wouldn't be too surprised if they lose. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, I'm ready.
You got a score prediction?
I'm terrible with those. Definitely going up in the something like last year. It's going up in that 30s, 30 something, 30 something. Yeah, I think so.
All right, that's good. That's good. All right, well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say like I really appreciate you coming on. Like it's been really cool seeing things progress in your career just in the last couple of years since we last spoke. And like I don't know if it was in this conversation or you maybe just mentioned it elsewhere, but like I know like some of your dream collaborators have already come true. Like working with Elucid here, I know is like a big thing, and as it should be, he's such a legend. It's just inspiring seeing you just like continue to create and make this kind of music that's like really smart, really thoughtful, but like bangs and is like catchy and just very human. I think above all, it's just very human and like I feel it. And yeah, I just really, really thankful that you're doing what you do.
Appreciate it, man. Here's to many more.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, well, I'll let you go, but before that, go Chiefs.
Oh, birds, man. I ain't trying to hear that.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Rap Music Plug podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to not only support the show, but join the fastest growing community of like-minded indie rap fans, go to patreon.com, search for the Rap Music Plug podcast, and become a patron. You will gain access to an exclusive patron-only Discord that me and 70 plus people engage with on the regular, as well as other patron-only benefits such as bonus episodes, album recommendation reviews, early access to regular episodes, and much more. So if you have any questions about any of the Patreon stuff, or just want to keep tabs on the show, interact with me on rap music and all the great stuff that we can talk about, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at rapmusicplugpod, or shoot me an email at qlctv.podcast@gmail.com. You can also rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify as well. But that's enough self-promotion for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace.